Hello again, welcome to Astro Matrix channel. My name is Marcel and I'm here today to talk to you about the Mercury Retrograde that's going to be happening in both Aquarius and Capricorn, starting on the 14th of January, depending on where you are in the world. But before I dive into that, please like and subscribe to our channel, supporting us, and then do stick around till the end of the reading, because I always do a tarot reading on behalf of the collective that pertains to the actual astrological reading that we're doing. So Mercury, as I mentioned, is going retrograde, and it's currently in Aquarius, and on the 14th of January it goes retrograde. So we already have Venus in a retrograde motion, and so both of these are going to be in retrograde. Venus is currently in Capricorn, and Mercury will be moving into Capricorn once it retrogrades. So it is in Aquarius first. It goes retrograde, it goes backwards, and then it enters back into Capricorn again, and then once it moves direct, it moves forward again. So it's going to be moving forward on the 3rd of February, and it enters back into Aquarius on the 14th. Okay, so there's two important things to mention. Firstly, we're going to explore what Mercury retrograding through both Aquarius and Capricorn means, but also it's important to mention that during this period, and it actually started, the first conjunction was on the 24th of December, sorry, the 30th of December, we had our first conjunction with Pluto. So there are 3 conjunctions with Pluto happening during this period. And this is very, very important because Pluto gives a very deep probing to the mind. And it also subsequently comes into a conjunction with Venus. So there's a strong theme going on here, which can pertain to relationships or financial matters. Pluto is the investigator. It wants to get to the root of things. It has a lot to do with secrecy. This, combined with our full moon video in Cancer, which I do encourage you to watch, really brings things to the surface. It really reveals things that have been kept under the cover. And it also reveals deeper natures of ourselves back to us. So Mercury is the messenger. It rules the mind. It rules how it is that we communicate. The mind's functioning around logic, processing information, and just how it perceives its immediate environment. So there can be a lot of mental struggles when Pluto hits Mercury. It can also bring an immense amount of passionate mental probing to the mind that wants to go deeper. So depending on where, the layout of Mercury in your chart will determine how that impacts you. But nevertheless, what it is wanting to achieve, the fact that Mercury hitting Pluto 3 times, starting before the retrograde and then during the retrograde, indicates that there is something very deep that we're working through. And while it may not be pleasant, there is the potential for a very powerful transformation with this happening. So, as I mentioned, Pluto wants to get to the heart of things, and it wants to uncover that which is not clear for us. So it can be accessing stuff from the subconscious. It can also bring people into our environment that we're needing to shift how it is that we are operating mentally, especially through communication. So the layout of Mercury in your chart, and but also what house Capricorn rules, will give a lot of information as to what these themes might be. So the Pluto. So the Mercury, as I mentioned, it's currently in Aquarius, and it moves forward in Aquarius, and then it goes retrograde. It stations retrograde, and it moves back through Aquarius into Capricorn. So the conjunctions with Pluto will only happen in Capricorn because Pluto is in Capricorn. It's a very slow-moving planet. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is all about restriction. So the Capricorn energy is about responsibility. It is about control, power, drive. But on the unhealthy end of the spectrum, it can have to do with rigidity. So there is the potential to be exploring mental rigidity, excessive control, and excessive need for power. So any disruptions or dysfunctions that we hold around those themes have the potential to come to the surface. So this is deconditioning that's potentially happening here. This is the mental probing, really taking us to the core and understanding ourselves on a much deeper level so that these shifts can happen, so that we can break free of this rigidity, this need for control, or unhealthy sense of power, mental power that we are holding as a form of protection. And so because Venus is there as well, Venus has to do with love and communication, and Venus is also undergoing an intense probing at the moment when it also comes into conjunction with Pluto. So when we have Mercury and Venus coming together, and Pluto's in the mix, potentially it has to do with communication around love. So on the 30th of December, there may have been something that popped up for you around communication, love, and secrets, or things not being clear, but then coming to the surface to be revealed. And it may have indicated some aspect of your personality or nature that is needing exploration in order for transformation to happen, because Pluto is about transformation. So the Mercury in Aquarius, how I feel this happening is that Mercury is in Aquarius, and Aquarius energy is very innovative. It's very forward-thinking. It's eccentric. It's zany. It's electric. And it's innovative, as I mentioned, and it's very humanitarian. But on the unhealthy end of the spectrum of Aquarius, it can also be extreme detachment and aloofness, emotional disconnection with others. And so when Mercury moves through Aquarius, we have, because remember Mercury's communication, it has to do with the mind, we may have these beautiful epiphanies or realizations, or this inspiration, this creative inspiration. Inventions may come through, ideas may come through during this period, so that when Mercury goes retrograde, we get to review it. And then when it moves back into Capricorn again for the second time, we get to establish the groundedness around it, the practicality behind it, and any limitations around control, distortions of power, as well as rigidity that we might hold, gets dug up and has the potential to be reworked, because retrograde is about reviewing, it's about going back and re-looking, and this has to do with the mind. So when it moves forward in Capricorn again, there's the potential to be more grounded and practical around that before we move back into Aquarius then, and can then potentially implement those realizations. So it's not just about Mercury retrograde. There's so many other facets that are going on in the chart at the moment that are all sort of working together to lead us somewhere. We have the transiting nodal axis, which is moving into Taurus. We also have Uranus, which is moving direct on the 18th of January, and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So the transiting nodal axis will be shifting into Taurus, and Uranus is in Taurus currently. So a lot of all of this has to do with what are our values. And, if we are holding on to rigidity out of fear or out of old conditioning, or too much control or distortions around power, what's very useful is to really examine what our values are, so that we're not coming from habitual, unconscious expression or patterning. And I feel that this period has the potential to take us deeper into understanding these conditioned expressions in order for transformation and shift to happen. So there we go. As I mentioned, it's not necessarily going to be an easy period, but there's immense transformation that can potentially come out of this. All right, so we're going to be exploring the tarot reading on behalf of the collective related to Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and Capricorn. And I'm working with the Modern Witches Tarot deck. And again, I'm just shuffling the cards on behalf of the collective, exploring Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and Capricorn. On behalf of the collective, we're exploring Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and Capricorn. So the first question is, what is the theme of the reading? Okay, so we have the Page of Wands, and I will dive in and explain what each of these means. But this talks about a new creative beginning, a new creative potential, a spark of realization, an opportunity. Okay, the theme of the reading. So the next question is, what is Mercury retrograde wanting us to explore? What is Mercury retrograde? Well, let's change it. Let's say, what is Mercury retrograde in Aquarius wanting us to examine? What is Mercury retrograde in Aquarius wanting us to examine? So we have the Three of Pentacles, which is about teamwork. It's about working together as a team, and we'll go deeper into that once we've got all the cards. What is Mercury retrograde in Capricorn wanting us to examine or explore? What is Mercury retrograde in Capricorn wanting us to examine? Okay. Not an easy card. It's the Five of Wands. Tension, conflict within a group dynamic. All right. And so then lastly, I want... and it's interesting because I've had two cards that keep presenting themselves to me. And the one, yeah, okay, well, let's leave that out. So the last question that I'm asking is, what is the influence of Pluto? What is the influence of Pluto during this Mercury retrograde? What is the influence of Pluto during this Mercury retrograde? Okay. To learn to surrender. Suspension. It's a very spiritual... It's a spiritual place to enter into, because chaos may be going on around you, which I suspect it is, with this... because this is Aquarius, and this is Mercury in Capricorn. It's the Five of Wands. It's conflict. It's chaos. Not necessarily chaos, but it's conflict. It's creative conflict. We're not all working together. So what's interesting is this is Mercury in Aquarius, and this is about teamwork. It's about working together towards a goal that is grounded and practical. But then with Mercury in Capricorn, which is this one over here, we get to, the chaos and the conflict gets shaken up, and we're not working together, and there's a struggle around that. And the theme of this reading was the Page of Wands, so a new creative project, a spark of intervention, a new idea. This could be sparked by the when Mercury is moving forward in Aquarius. Even though Aquarius is an air sign, there's a lot of innovation that potentially comes out of it. So there can be these creative aha moments, or there could be some creative project that we're working with. But then we experience some tension along the way. We're needing to explore what teamwork means, but then conflict arises, and we're not all on the same page. And there is a need, through Pluto, through the struggle of this, to find a way to surrender, to establish acceptance, and to transcend the limitations of the situation in such a way that you are in a peaceful place with it. So you can see there's a halo around this woman's head, signifying a place of spiritual acceptance. So she's in a spiritual place with regards to, despite the chaos or the struggle that's going on. And there is a need to separate ourselves from the situation in order to access this higher perspective. So there we go. I hope that shed some light on your situation, and I wish you all the best with this journey. And if you have any comments, would love to hear what's playing out for you at the moment and if this is relevant for you. Otherwise, wishing you all the best with these crazy times. And do stay tuned. We post regular updates and would love to hear more from you. Bye for now.